Easter is an Egyptian holiday. A lot of people don't know that. Easter is an Egyptian holiday, and it's based on the 4 points of the solstice, which has to do with the 4 days of Osiris being dead and resurrected. All right? That is an Egyptian holiday that they follow. Now, Esther, which is no more than Ishtar, which is no more than Isis. The reason why Esther is the only book in the Bible where the word God is not used is because they would have to put the Egyptian names there. You follow that? Most of the names of people in the Bible are Egyptian names. People just don't know that. And I should correct that and say attributes and not names. Because when you take a person like Abraham, for instance, and you translate his name, father of many nations, you have to stop and say, what was his name when he was that size? You follow? And this was before prediction and prophethood. Because prediction and prophethood didn't come into the books of the prophets. And the first 5 books of the Pentateuch, or the Tanakh, Torah, are not prophetic books. You had the books of the first 5 books, and then you had what they refer to as the books of the kings, and then you had the books of the prophets. So prophecy books came way down the line, way after Abraham. There really should have been no predictions or prophecies in Abraham's time. All right, so now how did Abraham get the name Abraham? Father of many nations. When you understand the Egyptian language, you find that the word Ab means heart. Ra is the God, and Hama means of majesty. So that when this Chaldean went over to Egypt, as they tell you in the Bible, the people there referred to him as Ra, Ham. Now, the Jews took it and said, Ibra, to cross over, but check, how could you cross over the Tigris Valley, be Jewish, and the people on this side call you Hebrew? Start again. How could you be the person on this side crossing over, be the patriarch of the Hebrews, yet in Hebrew it means to cross over? The people on this side of the water, I'm trying not to confuse you now, the people on this side of the water have to speak their own language. Right. Now, are you saying that the word Abraham or Abram is a Hebrew word? So who called him that? Him and his family were crossing the Tigris themselves. So they wouldn't call themselves. So the people on this side called them that. So this language, they adopted Abraham into Hebrew from someone else's language. And as they started correcting the language, they changed the Sarah to Sarah. And they started going down. And you follow a lot of people's names in the Bible started getting changed. They took their Egyptian names away and gave them Chaldean names or Phoenician names or Canaanite names. They changed Seth to Seth, which became Seth. In Genesis, they altered all these names to suit, because they were borrowing a culture. The Father was saying that because when you get back to Esther and Easter and Ishtar and Isis, it's all the same principle. And the egg is the primordial egg that Ra was born out of. There is no egg in Christianity, there is no egg in Judaism, and there's no egg birth in Islam. The only place where there's an egg birth recorded is in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, when they say that Ra came out of an egg. And then the concept of a stork delivering the baby is the same story that they stole from the Egyptian at Tahuti, right, Abbotsford, and gave it to them as the dove. Why did they pick the dove? Well, you know, magicians use doves. They pull them out of nowhere. You notice that? You know why the dove doesn't flap around? Because if you take a dove and stick a dove in your bosom or anywhere else, the moment he gets out of the light, he goes into a coma state. Did you know that? Yeah. They cease to move. You go to any sports store, any pet store, and asked them to take a dove and take a paper bag and put the dove into the paper bag and close it. And the dove will stop moving. He goes limp. Okay? You should be honest now. So Jesus, at 33 years old, was resurrected from the dead, or what was a dead state, as the dove. That's why they say the dove said, and the voice was behind the dove. And Jesus is laying in a dead state and pulled back to life. This is an ancient Egyptian ritual borrowed from Osiris, who was dead. And Tahuti, with his power, gave Isis the seed to bring Horus to life. So, in actuality, Horus was the rebirth of his father, the god of the underworld, Osiris. They didn't believe in him. You follow that? So the story that you get of Jesus dying and going into the cave, the sarcophagus, and being pulled out, and the men dressed in white was there guarding them, was the order of Tahuti. That's the three of the triads that govern all Egyptian mysteries. And pulling Jesus back to life, the resurrection from the cross, is the same as pulling Osiris back to life. And of course, the last but not least, Tutankhamun back to life. You follow? Tutankhamun is the Jesus of this day. Akhenaten is the Osiris of that day. And Nefertiti was the Isis of that day. And that is your holy family right there. Because Tutankhamun, or who was the son of Akhenaten, and Atum or Anten is the same word derived from the Hebrew where they say Adonai, master, has the same meaning. But notice that Tutankhamun is Amen and his father is Atun. And Atun is the highest point of the sun, where you see Akhenaten holding his hands up, you see a sun disk with 1,000 rays of light coming down with hands, meaning each thing that the sun does in creation, or the laying on of hands for life. And Akhenaten is standing there because Akhenaten unified the godship in Egypt. You follow? He got rid of the rituals of many deities and brought them into Netir Shil Netiru, the god of gods. And he said that's Atun, at the highest point. So he destroyed most of the temples, knocked down most of their gods, and erected everything to one God, Atun, which was as a affinity, Pharaoh himself. So he becomes Atun Re, or Atun Ra. And he gives birth to the Son of God. And he becomes Amun, the life of the hidden one. The hidden Amun means the secret or hidden one. So he ended all prayers. He ended all rituals. In Hebrew, they say Umain. In Islam, they say Amin. And in Christianity, we say Amen. Amen is Amun. Amun was Tutankhamun. And that's why the last identified family of Pharaoh's sarcophagus mummies is Tutankhamun. And when they brought that face out, they looked at that gold face, see the face like the sun, says the Bible. They said, that's the face of Christ. And the story of the death of Tutankhamun And the story of the death of Christ is the same thing. It was his uncle who arranged his death. Right? And his mother, Nefer, see, beauty has been born, has finally come to the world. That was Mary. And that's why you find the statue of the Blessed Mother Mary breastfeeding the sacred child Christ. You feel that? Is in Egypt first, as Isis and Horus. And it's also in Babylon. But people don't know that there's a word in the Egyptian language, karest, which means anointed. And then the word messeh, M-E-S-S-E-H, messeh, which means oil from a hippopotamus. Sounds crazy. But in Egypt, the anointing ceremony was done from the oil of the hippopotamus and not the olive branch. And when a god or priest, as they called him, was anointed with this, he became a messiah. You follow? And if he was born of a godly line like Jesus, the son of the seed of David, a holy family, the chosen people, he became a Karessa Messiah. And that is no more than Christ Messiah, when it got brought over into another man's language. So unto on the tomb is referred to as Karessa Messiah. Now, you say, what does the hippopotamus have to do with all of this? The hippo, or what they call the sea elephant, the seahorse. Well, when you go into the temple of Hathor, which is Hathor and Horus, when you walk into a temple and you look up and you see the circle of the universe, you see what's referred to as the Dandora map of the sky, which is a zodiac map. And in the center of it is a hippopotamus. The hippopotamus was thought to be the oldest living mammal in ancient Egypt, because it's one of the few animals. Let me add some things about it. For one, a hippopotamus as a mammal can stay underwater longer than any other mammal, including a whale. So it breathes in the water, can go down to the bottom of the water, stay down there for almost an hour, sometimes 2 or 3 hours, and then come up. A whale can't even do that. A whale has to come up and breathe. So because they knew that we were made up of 2 seeds, we have a seed in us that is of the water, and a seed in us that is of the ground. You follow that? That means that everybody here has webs. Everybody here was in an egg, like Easter, in the womb of its mother, like a tadpole, like a reptilian or a fish. Therefore, you were not dry born. The first thing they tell you is when the water breaks, the baby's coming. What is the association between the water breaking and the baby being born, other than the fact that the baby is living in water? Now, if you are a land creature, dirt, Adama only, you should drown while you're in water. Is that right? So if you're able to live in water for 9 months of breathing underwater, then you've got to have some reptilian in you. Right. Some sea creatures there. Whether you want to accept it or not, you said as a tadpole or whatever, you had a tail and you swam. And you didn't have arms, and you didn't have teeth, and you didn't have lungs, you had gills. So we do have some reptilian in us. And that reptilian in us, or that nahash in us, or that serpent in us, is why we so damn devilish. And try to act like we're not. Because we the first people to point the finger and call somebody devilish. And we wouldn't know what they were doing if we didn't do it or haven't seen it. But if we tell a kid to stop that, you know what Jesus said? I know what you're getting ready to do. That's right. And suppose the kid said what? You get ready to snatch that toy out your little brother's hand. How'd you know that? I'm a prophet. Either you're a prophet or you did it. You know don't want to face that we have an ugly side, that we have a devious side, an evil side. Everybody here, they've done something wrong, more than once. Some things you did wrong, knew they were wrong, you did them again. Now, who's that? Where was God doing that? If you're all God, all good, where was God when you were doing that devilishment? Did you sleep? Because God did say He put His Spirit in you, so God must dwell in each of us. So when me and you are sitting around thinking about doing the wrong, doggone thing, where is the God in us then? Sleep? Tolerant? Compassionate? Patient? But then there's another side to us that when we look at television sometimes, we see starving little kids all over the world. We want to empty our pockets out. Some of y'all saw Mighty Joe Young and cried when he fell. And you were looking at a movie. Big old stuffed thing. But you cried. Don't lie, some of you men cried. I remember E.T., I was crying. Well, you should have seen that at the time to get the popcorn from the person who was crying. When they started crying, they said, but we do have a soft side and a cold side, because we don't want to address that we're made up. We're composite creatures. We are reptilians and mountain. And this is all recorded only in Egyptian mysteries. Because in Christianity, Judaism, Islam, we don't want to address the devil side of us. No, we are all children of God. And when that boy Rodney down and blocked us and the devil should be say, well, there's a reason. There's a time, place for everything under the sun. Right? Time now to kick his little butt. But we don't do that. We take it to this rational, passionate side. That's the God in us. That's the good side. What dominates? What rules? It looks like the evil side. You know why? Let me tell you why. Because you take two little kids and put them together, you give one something, step back, and the other one will take it. And if it's a metal toy or a wooden toy, well, now when you take it, hit him in the face with it. And then if you try to take it, hit you in the face. Little kid can't even walk yet. You still got to feed him, but he'll swing at you. Try to scratch you. Infants, no teeth trying to bite you. Not dogs. And you know, oh, he's snoring on me. Snoring on me. He's trying to eat you. They don't know what snoring is. They don't chew their good. Mother in the bed, this little cute little baby. That thing is trying to figure out why he can't get a piece of his off. That's real. That's right. That's children. They don't have a compassionate bone in their body. They are strictly self. They go for theirs. They will wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. You can come in and say, come on, I got to go to work tomorrow, kid. I'm tired. Kid got together. Deep part about it is sometimes they'll stop. You go, and look at you on the wall. You think, okay, everything ready until you walk in. And that's when your side comes, you got double. What is all that? That's all our nation. The only culture that taught us to deal with our nature for what we are is Egyptology. Everybody else wants to make us deal with a remote nature. In other words, they want to say, good is up there and bad is under. And you're somewhere in between. Now, to be good, you're going up there. To be bad, you're going down there. Plus, religion. And that's it. Every time you do something bad, you're going to hell. Every time you do something good, you're going to be in heaven. But no explanation, no link between, no intelligence, nothing tied. What about the person, the kid that starts walking like a dog? Where's this weird? Well, we have a little dog in us too. We act like dogs. We act like cats. We act like. So I've seen women act just like a cat sometimes. We like everything from a purr, they act just like a cat. You know, you look like that. We men. No, we don't see the difference. We don't have no problem with being called a dog. Women have a problem with being called a dog. I understand that. Right, brothers? That's right. Y'all call us a dog? a dog. Now, we call your dog a communal dog. Now back to the subject. So we have in our nature animals. And when the Egyptian teachers would try to depict these animals in your nature, because in Christianity, they used to tell us that when a person is about to die, a dog will start to howl. Now, ain't that what Grandma said? So now, when they speak of Anubis in Egypt, and they show you a dog, a black dog with a red curtain, a symbol, all of a sudden, it's paganism. When they speak about Horus scaling the heavens, they didn't know that the most sought after pet in ancient Egypt was a falcon. The Arabs still do it. They have falcon wars. The falcon's a powerful, dangerous, strong bird. So because Horus had to defend the fact that his father Osiris was killed, and he searched all over to catch up with his uncle, the killer, and he fought a ferocious fight, had his eye ripped out in the battle. And they used the eye as a symbol of the war, and the falcon because of his power and strength as a warrior bird. People say, we're pagans. Oh no, y'all worship a falcon. So when they had a procession, men put on the mask of these different animals to show things that are in our nature. Because they get mad, they go, come on. She gotta act like a gorilla, come on. Moms in the ring, go, boom, 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 come on, nigga, boom. And if I said, hey, he's acting, hey, you can't do that, you violating the law, you're a Christian, you're acting like an animal, you're a pagan. That's not what's happening. That's an expression. But when we add this to the public, introduce this to the public, and they start seeing symbols like that one right there, Horus, they say these people are pagans. The word pagan means in the field. In the field where you grow things is what the word pagan means. Go in a dictionary and look it up so you can see how many word games they play on you. They don't have a word for things that took place before them because it would be prehistory. You hear me? So how can you tell me, check now, how can you tell me what I was believing in and call it prehistory? Meaning before you had a history. So before you existed, we existed. And we had things we were doing. And now you came into existence and you're telling people what they meant. They don't ask us. You see, we as a people have two lex. Dyslexia, lecture, intellect, and then outellect. Now, so what the heck is outellect? Intellect or intellect is information trapped within the environment that we're in. We are on Earth, and we're dealing with Earth's sciences, Earth's rhythms, climates, growths, deaths, experiences, developments. You follow? But all that is happening inside this dome of spheres that we are in. You hear me? But if you get a message from outside, and you hear a voice inside, people say you're insane. Check it now. You're not outsane. You're not out of your sanity. You become insane when you start hearing stuff from voices outside this realm. Instead of them saying you're outsane, they say person's insane. They're in here and they become sane. But they'll lock you away, put you in a hospital. You walk up to some person, mumbling. I don't know if you ever done it. I do crazy stuff like that. A person walking down the street mumbling, and you ask them when they talk, what's up? What's up, brother? They'll say you can't imagine how the elements are turning inside out. And insects are starting to grow. And Charlie Bird knew all about it. And Charlie Mingus played the bass about that. And people never could understand what he was talking about. When Miles Davis hit that note on the trumpet, and you said, this brother's crazy. He's telling you things are happening in tones. They always go back to Bird. Bird is and Jimi Hendrix, when he hit that note on the guitar, when you hear that thing vibrate at a certain frequency, and while I feel something coming, they're trying to come out, they want me, they're trying to take my head, they're trying to breathe, they want to hurt me. You're like, brother's crazy. No. That brother's out sane. That brother's receiving outellect. That brother's receiving outformation, not information. He has fallen out of formation. And they have to keep me and you in formation. They got to keep us in intellect. They got to keep us in order. They got to keep us in line. They got to keep us in the system. And when you step out of the system, you're a problem. You step out of line, you're a problem. You step out of order, you're a problem. You see? But God, Jesus, came from out in. And they don't get that. He brought outellect in. He brought outformation in. And those in who were ruling Jerusalem said he was crazy. That's right. Let's kill him. Because he's doing things that's out of order. That's right, out of this world. He is truly out of this world. He said, I am from above and you're from beneath. He said, I'm going back. Anybody want to come with me? There's certain things you must do. He says, first of all, you got to learn to love each other. Everybody, you ain't going. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn to live for and by each other. He said, see, the things I'm doing, you're going to do greater. And people say, how can I do greater things than Jesus? What Jesus was trying to say to you is, in all that I've learned, because it said he was waxed wise and wisdom. In all that I've learned, I'll pass it on to you. And then you'll use all that I gave you and your natural intelligence, and you will end up smarter than me. Many of chess students beat the master. Because the master teaches them chess, like the student, all their moves. After a while, the student got all their moves, and then some. That's all Jesus meant when he said the words, I do, you do greater. But he was a being speaking from the outside in. See, in Islam, they say God is in the heavens. Christianity, they say God sits on the throne in the heavens. Then when you try to get them to define the heavens, they can't. But they'll speak of the devil being cast out of the heavens. And there's no place for him found at all in the heavens. And then Job goes back never to heaven. It says before God. They don't have heaven in Job. They make it sound like he's going to heaven. But it says he goes before God. So now wait a minute. What happened? Is this God that the devil who was with the angels who went before God, was he the same God of Genesis was in the heavens? Is there more than one heavens? Well, don't answer for me. Jesus said, I'll give you that. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. Jesus said, I am from what? Jesus said, our Father who art in heaven. So Jesus' Father was, so Jesus was looking up when he said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. And then in Greek, as y'all all know, the word for heaven was Orion. And right above Orion are the seven sisters of Pleiades. And right beneath Orion is the Cyrus or Sirius star with two, A and B. So the beings on the bottom star were looking up at the 7 stars of Orion, 4, and then the 3 in the belt. And they saw the 3 wise men, the 3 stars of the Orion belt. But from the Orion belt north was another heaven called Pleiades. And the books of Job and Amos said, where were you when I laid the foundation of Pleiades? And the Pleiades were the Dragos, was one of the star constellations or the houses in my father's mansion. I mean, can you put a mansion in a house? No. But if he's talking about houses in the sky, star constellations in the heavens, Jesus said, we're going that way, showing you where to go. Then you have the Drago constellation because in the middle of Pleiades is Aldebaran. And what kind of beings came from Aldebaran? Pleiadians. What is their description? Ashtar command. How did the guy fallen from heaven, what's his name? Travis Walters. How did he describe what happened? He said, I was abducted. A ship was in the woods. A big light struck me and knocked me down. My friends took off, which is normal. Take me out of Jesus, they ran. People will run to be getting knocked down, I'm telling you. They didn't have a flying saucer not yet. But down niggas really gonna run. Anyway, they ran and left it. He disappeared for a certain amount of days. He said once they put him under aggressive hypnosis and they could bring out what happened to him, he said, I woke up on a bed with a bunch of grays looking around me, a bunch of little guys with big eyes. And then in comes a tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed man. And he escorted me into another room where there were other blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. And then the next thing I knew, I woke up and I was in the woods. Days later. I think it's called Falling from the Sky. They made Fire in the Sky. Thank you very much.
In November 1975, an Arizona forestry worker, Travis Walton, came upon a mysterious craft in the woods.
It was hovering up here, just below the tops of the trees, and it was about 20, 25 feet in diameter. And I could hear a sound coming from it. It was kind of a very strange mechanical sound. And I was kind of wrestling with the idea of being so close to this. I'd expected it to take off, you know. In running up here, I figured this was my last chance to, to see this thing up close. But I decided I'd better get the hell out of there. And as I raised up and turned to go, I felt this numbing shock and blacked out.
Walton said he came to inside the craft, where humanoids conducted medical experiments on him.
What happened? Now there's another man way up in Sweden with one arm. Anybody remember his name? Billy Myers. He said these crafts, he takes pictures of all these crafts. He said one day, one of the crafts came so close that a woman came out and sat beneath a tree and talked to me. And they said, describe her. He said she was tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. You see? First of all, no one has blue eyes. No one has blue eyes. Even when you look in a person's eyes and you see blue, there is no such thing as blue eyes. You know why their eyes appear blue? Because blue is the fastest moving color in the spectrum. And it hits the eyes first. Investigate. That's why the sky is blue. That's why the water, it's out of all the colors in the spectrum, the color that hits your eye first is blue. And when you look at them, because they have melanin recessive, they don't have the brown or the green or the hazel, the gray in their eye, it gives a transparent effect of being blue. So now, in view of, and I don't want you to believe what I'm saying, I want you to check this out. In view of the fact that there's no such thing as a person with blue eyes, you think you see blue eyes, but you don't. Now I want you to know, what did he see?